we're just like animals. Everything that we're doing is just already set in motion. A cause set in motion.
Well, I wouldn't see a reason why we're not like animals, considering our brains are very similar to a lot of animals. Obviously, we're more complex in a lot of ways, but yeah, I mean, we have the same fundamental brain structures. But like, my point here is just going to be like any other philosophy other than like materialism, like any type of dualism is going to break our known laws of physics, and I'm going to have way more faith in the laws of physics than I am going to have in any like philosophical circle jerking that I can do. Just if a decision is random, I'm no more in control of it than if it was caused by a series of prior events. Like I mentioned in my opening statement, either it's determined by a chain of prior causes, or it's indeterminate and therefore it's due to some fucking quantum or intrinsic randomness, then I'm no more in control of. We did have some control.
You can't control our desires, is what you're saying.
Not really. And even if you can, to some extent, you have to desire to control it, right?
Okay, well, why?
And that
Why?
desire to control it.
Why do you say that we cannot control our desires?
Conscious decisions can change desires, but the conscious decision to change your desires was made off of other desires, and there are probably some fundamental desires that we can't really control here. My point is that you can't control your desires.
That's just a loop that doesn't end. You know?
Well, it's not a loop; it's a regress. A regress which leaves no room for free will.
Life, animals adopt more and more complex behavior. Even if at the fundamental level things are simple, that doesn't preclude things when all that comes together from being complex.
Sure, so emergent complexity is obviously a documented thing. You know, obviously neurons themselves aren't conscious, but when a bunch of neurons come together, they can't make a conscious experience, okay? The emergent properties, though, can't change the fundamental properties of each individual part. We don't have a model that can perfectly predict even how the simplest of animals, like a fly, behaves, correct? So there's some chaotic things there, which is an argument you used earlier to apply to humans. And two, all the same quantum weirdness applies to animals' brains just as much as it does humans' brains. They're both made out of physical material with quantum weirdness. So with those two arguments, the quantum weirdness and the no model to perfectly predict their behavior, wouldn't those both equally apply to animals as they do to humans, as you used earlier in the debate?
I believe that animals have a semblance of free will, if that makes sense.
A semblance of free will. Okay, judges, he changed the position. Okay, he amended his position. Okay, very respectable thing to do. But okay, just write that down.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that's something you 100% needed to do. Just be meaner and point out you're dodging. You're dodging because you're scared and retarded. That's what you. Yeah, all right. Regardless if it's someone you like, that guy, he seems very nice. He seems very smart.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to episode 17 of Debate Deathmatch. Today we have with us Nonfon, who is I'm kind of sus about him now. I feel like he wants to climb the ranks and win something here, it feels like, but he is with us today, so welcome, Nonfon. On the other side, we have North. He's got he's here as well, and they're going to be debating free will and whether it exists or not. Right, so wait, let me get these timers figured out. All right, so we've got two of them. That's Nonfon, and
would it be
North.
bad if I took a piss right now?
Oh my fucking God.
You can do that if you have wireless headphones. If you do not, then you probably shouldn't do that, because Nonfon is going to give his opening statement, and then depending on how long he takes.
I'll be listening, but just know while you're doing this, I'll be taking a piss.
Nobody cares. Nobody cares about that. Go ahead. Enjoy yourself. Right. Nonfon, the floor is yours.
Okay, well, I guess he's going to... Okay, I guess we can't hear him piss. Goddamn. Okay, well...
Oh, man.
I got a tough case ahead of me, because seemingly everyone feels like they have free will. However, I won't be too sad if I lose, because it's the only thing that could have possibly happened. This is what I mean when I say free will. The ability for conscious agents to have acted differently than they did in the past, whilst keeping all other factors the same. There are many reasons I believe this cannot be the case. First, although neuroscience is far from understanding everything about the brain, I believe we understand enough to call free will into question. Keeping this brief for the opening statement, various Libet-style studies show how parts of the brain will make decisions before we consciously make them. Experiments in split-brain patients also reveal how one half of the brain essentially tricks itself into believing it was acting freely when we know what was actually happening is the other half of the brain was making a decision. More fundamentally, we also know how neurons work. They either remain negatively charged or gain a positive charge when sufficiently excited by other neurons. It's hard to imagine how free actions could emerge when each neuron is simply doing as it's told. Second, there's a strong logical case against free will, borrowing the simplest argument given by Alex O'Connor. Thoughts and actions have causes. These causes are either determined or indetermined. If they're indetermined from whatever quantum randomness exists, then I'm not in control. If they're determined, then they're either determined by something outside the brain or inside of it. If it's determined by something outside the brain, then you're obviously not in control. If it's determined by some internal want or desire, you simply push the problem back and ask if the cause of that desire was either determined or indetermined, neither of which you can control. Lastly, there's a physical argument against dualism, which can also be applied more narrowly to free will. Our brains are made up of physical material that models can predict future states of. Therefore, physics can, in some way, predict the way I will behave. If free will exists, then some soul or consciousness must interact with the body, and that would influence the way atoms move. This means violating the conservation of energy, which seemingly can't happen. I'm sure we'll run through some of the wacky implications this stance has in the debate, but it's important to remember I'm simply arguing that it is descriptively true that we do not have free will. It doesn't necessarily hold me to any position that the world would be better if we all believed we didn't have free will, or if we reformed our institutions to reflect such belief.
Okay, thank you, Nonfon. Right. North, you have 2 minutes and 30 seconds. So the clock starts now.
I
clock
is ticking.
I probably should unmute my microphone. I didn't realize you were supposed to write a whole ass introduction doc like my colleague over here.
You're doing amazing. You're doing amazing, North.
So yeah, we'll wing this. My colleague, I can call you a colleague, right?
Colleague?
Fellow streamer.
Sure.
My fellow streamer has pointed out. He's coming at this from a scientific basis, but I'm more to come out of this out of more of a philosophical basis out of here.
I like
science. If you judge the world in a purely materialistic worldview, stop. Okay, someone's insulting me in my chat. If you look at the world an entirely materialistic overview, then sure, it would make sense that free will does not exist because there will be action and there will be consequence. It was 400 years ago we basically discovered the fact that things happen because of things before that happening, and we've taken that a little bit too far by coming to a hard determinist stance. There has been no human formula ever created. There's been no predictive model that has been able to, no socioeconomic model that can predict human behavior. There's no scientific AI generative model that can predict human behavior. It's all wishy-washy pseudoscience, essentially. Human behavior is inherently random. And there's no way that you can prove that scientifically, that human behavior is not random.
Okay, well, thank you very much.
That was a complete ramble, I know. Holy shit.
That was a ramble. Congratulations.
I'm already down 6 points, I can guarantee it.
You're off to a good start. Right, judges, if any of you have added or subtracted any points so far, go ahead and remove them, because this is the moment that you will start, from this moment on, you will start adding and subtracting points accordingly. Chat, you know the deal. Interact with the debaters using your little fucking things in the corner down there. Yeah, you can ask questions directly or timed questions that come at the end of the debate. You can also fuck their shit up by asking a completely random and oblivious question with trivia. And Nonfon loves them especially. I just want to tell you guys, okay? Nonfon loves that
I've already
shit.
been stolen the points from my opening statement, and now you're doing the trivia shit too.
They're not even that expensive, guys, okay? So go ahead. You can fuck their shit up, all right? So, Nonfon is going to take it away, and then from there... Wait, I've lost my mouse. Give me a second, guys.
Oh my God.
I've lost my mouse.
I'm not happy about your predetermined decisions that you made.
You guys need to fuck right off. Where is my mouse? Okay, here we go. All right, it's here. Based. All right, Nonfon. The floor is yours.
Okay, basically you mentioned you mentioned that like you think human behavior is random. The word random is interesting. Depending on what random means, I'm coming at this from a determinist perspective, but even I will acknowledge everything isn't fully deterministic. There is quantum randomness, but that is simply probabilistic quantum weirdness. If I make a decision because, some quantum weirdness happened in my brain and it caused my synapses to leak.
Oh, wait, I completely forgot. 1 second, Nonfon. Best moderator in the world. Kay, you have to ask them a question. Yo, guys, what the hell? We have to ask them a question.
Can I finish my point?
No, you can't. Kay needs to ask you a question because
you're asking the question and then only
Kay will ask the question. Kay is going to ask a question. It can be relevant to the topic or random as hell. He gets to decide whenever he comes in here and actually asks the question. So Kay, go ahead and ask the debaters your question.
I don't have one right now.
I don't
go before me.
Jesus fucking Christ. Oh my God.
Do you like poodles? Do you like poodles or Yorkshire Terriers?
I think we should socialize all dog breeding and eugenics them both out of existence.
Holy shit.
Wait, that's a legitimate answer. Okay, kind of based. I'm with that. I fucking hate poodles. Go ahead, North. What is your response?
I don't really care. I'm more
okay.
What people do.
Okay, wait. Am I supposed to be giving points to this shit?
Yes.
Oh my God.
Give me points for my opening and don't give me points for this shit.
Personally, I kind of like big hairy dogs over poodles, but to each their own. I like Malamutes. That's my favorite breed.
Okay, I was about to ask what libertarians have to do with dogs, but okay, awesome.
I have a libertarian view in terms of like dog breeding.
Yes, judges, you are free to add and subtract points for random questions like trivia or the question just asked now. So go ahead. Nonfon, the floor is actually yours this time.
Okay, Jesus. Okay, you mentioned random. Just if a decision is random, I'm no more in control of it than if it was caused by a series of prior events. Like I mentioned in my opening statement, either it's determined by a chain of prior causes or it's indeterminate and therefore it's due to some fucking quantum or intrinsic randomness, then I'm no more in control of. I, as a conscious agent, can't take any responsibility for probabilistic quantum movements, right? And then also you mentioned no model can predict it. That is true. There are a lot of things in our universe that are chaotic. It's not predictable. However, that does not mean that they're indeterministic. It simply means we don't have a model that can predict it. Deterministic systems where tiny, minute changes in initial states can create wild variance in states later on does not mean that system is not deterministic. There are I think that there's this game called the Game of Life. There's I think I watched a Veritasium video on it one time. We can take a game with a very simple set of rules, a deterministic set of rules. However, tiny changes in the initial state of this game will create wide, incredible differences in later states, and we cannot predict how or what the final states will be from the initial state, but it is still entirely deterministic.
Do I respond now?
Yeah.
Wait, yeah. The floor is open, guys. Feel free. It's an open conversation.
The floor is open. Okay. So you are mentioning probabilistic, as in, and you've also mentioned quantum mechanics as well. Do you believe that the probability being in physics inherently goes against any sort of hard determinate stance you can make? Because there's no action-reaction. There is action and then probability, afterward, You do think that contributes to your hard determinate stance or detracts from it?
I mean, it's not what people would call strict determinism, obviously, because it's quantum randomness, but it doesn't give you free will, is my point. I don't think the prompt of this mentions anything about hard determinism. I think I probably described myself as a hard determinist to you because I align more with them. But obviously, I will acknowledge that there is quantum weirdness and quantum probabilistic things that aren't strictly determinists, but they're just probabilistic.
Okay.
And I will also mention that these are tiny changes that you could see in your brain. Even these are do you know what a synapse is?
Yes, I'm familiar with a synapse.
Yeah, so it's like the gap between your neurons where the neurotransmitters flow. Basically, all the quantum weirdness, all the effects that it's been observed to have is to basically cause what's called a leaky synapse, where a small amount of neurotransmitters will be released from one neuron to the other, but almost always this is not enough to sufficiently excite the neuron into even activate one neuron. And then even if it is, when that neuron activates and releases neurotransmitters, it's almost certainly not going to be enough to react or activate the next neuron. So there's a bubbling up problem in that these almost never bubble up into any actual real decision making. But also, even if they did, it does not give you free will. There's no free will there.
So are you saying that that's all human will is just a bunch of bubbling up of neurons that are constantly just trying to like spew out thoughts, and then once it reaches a boiling point, then we have a random thought?
Well, it's not. I mean, it's deterministic. It's not entirely random. What I think human action is and human mental activity, I think all of that does translate directly into activity in neurons. Yes, that's why we observe, like, if we damage specific parts of the brain, very specific functions can be damaged. Yes.
Well, very specific functions can be damaged, but even with brain damage, people are still able to like live normal lives and make their own decisions. I mean, like.
Sure, I was just saying that's an indicator that neurons are responsible for our experience, basically. Because if we damage certain neurons, certain parts of our experiences are affected. Like, we can damage specific parts of the brain, and then you can't remember what nouns are, right? So.
Okay, but that still doesn't, like, just because you damage certain parts of your brain, that doesn't mean that we are beholden to, like, the neurons in our brain, and we are, like, there's, like, a cause and effect when it comes to, like, our thinking, with a hard determinate stance. Like, we are not we're not beholden to the neurons in our brain and like the chemical reactions that are happening in our brain. Like, in spite of those chemical reactions and in spite of those synapses firing in like certain ways, we are still able to like overcome them. I mean, there's been multiple
my point here is that we are our brains, and that is evidenced by the fact that when you damage certain parts of the brain,
we all are brains, but the actions that we do are not determined by like any sort of like chemical reaction currently happening in our brain.
Every action that you do is a chemical reaction happening in your brain.
Every action. Okay, so let's say that you're like an extremely depressive state, right? So are you like only going to be in that extremely depressive state?
You're not only going to be in that extremely depressive state forever, but a lot of depression is caused by literal chemical imbalances in your brain.
You have the ability to go out of that state, right?
Sure, you have that ability to go out of that state. That is a possibility. That's just the only possibility.
Well. Would you admit that as well, that we have the ability to change our states?
You have the ability to change it, but you're not in control of that decision, is what I'm saying. It's not a free decision.
So
it's not a free decision. Yeah, you have not built your mind, right? Any action that you take to seemingly like change the state of your mind or whatever, you're only making that decision with the tools that have been given to you from the past, with your genetics and environment that have been given to you from the past. You're only capable of making a decision with those tools that all have series of prior causes, right? That's my point.
Hold on, someone joined. That's gonna completely fuck up my stream.
Yeah,
no, it doesn't. Okay. So you're saying that we have. So you think that we can only change our states of mind just because it's a cause set in motion by our like genetics in the past, essentially.
Basically, yeah, it's deterministic. It's deterministic whether or not we change our state of mind or whatever. Yeah,
it's deterministic. So if I was in a depressive state and then I suddenly, pick myself up in my bootstraps and become into a very happy state, according to you, that was inevitable to happen.
Well, what was the cause of that?
What was the cause of that? I guess, let's say, depressive state because my girlfriend broke up with me, right? And then I got over her and started working out in the gym more, and that got me to a happy state,
Yeah, you see how all those, I would just say those are all deterministic. Those all point to my point of cause and effect, right? That these are all deterministic states,
yes, but
following one after another.
The individual actions that you make, what about people who have broken up with a girlfriend and then they aren't sad? That's not a cause and effect. They've every single decision that you make, you you make your decisions based off of your circumstances, but you're not beholden to your circumstances. If you get what I'm trying to say.
I mean, I get what you're trying to say. I just disagree, because any decision that you make, fundamentally, it's going to be a deterministic decision, is what I'm saying. Obviously, like, you can make it, like, if my teacher tells me, hey, you should start hanging out with better friends, you know, I might make that decision, but that was a deterministic decision. I didn't have any control over the teacher telling me to say that, right? And when
no, but you had the decision, you had the conscious decision to choose whether or not you follow that teacher's advice.
Well, my point is the decision, the thought to even make the decision just appeared in my conscious experience because the teacher told me. I didn't have any control over that.
Yes, but you didn't have any control about the teacher telling you that thought, but you had the conscious choice of deciding whether or not you would follow it or not. Like, you choose whether or not to follow something.
I'm just going to say that's obviously not a free decision. That's a deterministic decision.
No,
you're making that decision based off a long chain of prior events, right?
Look, we all have circumstances. We all have a past, right? We all have a history. But the decisions that we make in the now, while we can base them on our past, we are not necessarily beholden to our past.
Okay, so we can take two people with the exact same history, right? They both grew up poor. They both, have brain damage to their prefrontal cortex, which makes them more likely to make bad decisions. They can both make different decisions. I'm not disagreeing with that. Obviously, people are able to overcome their circumstances. My point is, it's not the conscious actor's fault for either one of them that they made the decision that they made. That intentions and desires just basically arise in conscious experience. You're not the author of them, and then you're essentially beholden to those desires. It's purely deterministic.
They are the rock, and they are rolling down the hill, and they have no matter what they feel, no matter what they choose, no matter what they do, they are simply the rock rolling down the hill, and they will continue rolling down a hill no matter what.
I mean, they're behaving in a deterministic way. That's what I would say. They're not the author of their thoughts and actions. Correct.
Okay. You see, I just can't accept that. Like philosophically, I can't accept that. We're obviously, I can't really get into religion, but this is more of a secular argument.
Yeah, I mean, you can where could we see like where free will emerges? Would it be like from where would it be if not from the you're saying a philosophical world? Would it not be like from the physical world, or like?
Well,
do you think
the people that are taking a materialistic, people who are overly materialistic are the people that are usually hard determinists. That's what I say. People that are
well, but my point is going to be here, like any other philosophy other than materialism, is essentially it's going to like break conservation of energy. Is going to be my point.
You're saying it's going to break conservation of energy?
Yeah, conservation of energy. Again, our brain is like made of physical material. If we allowed like some non-physical soul or consciousness, if the mind causally interacted with energy, then energy would not be preserved, because right now atoms are behaving and molecules are behaving in a certain way, in a deterministic way.
Think there's no way for us to be able to interact with like our mind to interact with the world with free will without breaking the laws of
without breaking the laws of physics? Yes, because they're all moving the way they should according to the laws of physics. They're all moving because of all the energy in the world that's already here. In order to make them move a different way, you'd have to create energy, essentially.
No mechanism in our brain at all. So we're no different than the animals, in which we just do we are the rock rolling down the hill. The animal eats the grass, the bird flies in the air. We're just like animals. Everything that we're doing is just already set in motion. A cause set in motion.
Well, I wouldn't see a reason why we're not like animals, considering our brains are very similar to a lot of animals. Obviously, we're more complex in a lot of ways, but yeah, I mean, we have the same fundamental brain structures. But like, my point here is just going to be like any other philosophy other than like materialism, like any type of dualism is going to break our known laws of physics, and I'm going to have way more faith in the laws of physics than I am going to have in any like philosophical circle jerking that I can do. So
hold on, I have a whole ass document that I need to pull up here. Let's see here now. So you are talking about causation, and you really don't believe that humans being probabilistic is not a matter of causation, is not against determinism. I don't understand what your logic is there with a humans being probabilistic not aligning with hard determinism.
Well, I mean, again, the prompt has nothing to do with hard determinism. My only position is that I don't believe in free will. Now, that aligns me pretty closely with a lot of hard determinists, but I would agree that quantum weirdness means that there is some probabilistic actions in the universe, right? We don't know if an electron of an atom is where exactly it is. We only know it has a 60% chance to be here and a 30% chance to be here. We don't know. We don't know exactly where it is.
Imply a sort of freeness to the universe that we never thought of before.
That implies a probabilistic,
not necessarily a cause and effect, because there's no cause and effect because it's probabilistic, because it's statistic.
Well, correct. There is no cause and effect for these quantum probabilistic movements. This is why quantum mechanics is weird, because it's probabilistic and not like deterministic. However,
yes,
that does not give you free will, is my point. Again, the prompt has nothing to do with hard determinism. It simply has to do with whether or not we have free will. Whether I make a decision because of a series of prior events, or because an electron or an atom, I think entire atoms can quantum tunnel. I'm not entirely sure. Or because of an atom, quantum tunnel somewhere, and that releases some neurotransmitters into a synapse that then causes a chain of events in my brain to make a decision. That's no more free.
Okay, I think I understand what you're saying here. I would fundamentally disagree. I mean, I think the implication that there is a statistical freeness in the world shown by quantum mechanics, in which there's no way to sort of predict it, implies a sense of freeness, of free will in the world.
What are you saying for free will? What's your definition of free will?
Let's see here now. Definition of free will. I got the good old Google. The power of acting without constraint of necessity or fate. The ability to act at one's own discretion.
And you agree with that definition?
Me?
You?
No, North.
I would agree with that definition.
You would agree.
On the whole, yeah. The ability that we as humans have the ability to make decisions in spite of our circumstances, in spite of our, our genetics and our hormones and all that. We are able to make this. We are able to make decisions freely. We're not beholden to them.
Do you want to also dissect what you mean by freely? Because I understand that whenever anybody says the word free, they obviously have a concept within their mind. Okay. Now, free can mean
one's
pretty much
own will.
Okay, but that's just like saying a ball is a round circular object. Yes, but a little bit more. Try and narrow into it. Like, pick your brain a little bit. What do you mean when you say free? Because that's what all of this is about. When you're saying free will, like if your concept of free does not match that of Nonfons, obviously you guys are going to have a disagreement on the matter.
Mm-hmm. Well, here's a question to help us. If I'm walking in the park and a boulder comes rolling towards me and I don't want to be crushed by the boulder, so I step out of the way of the boulder, is that a free decision?
Is that a free decision? Well, you make the decision whether or not you want to be crushed by the boulder.
Was that a free decision? What I'm asking. It's obviously a decision. Is that a free decision?
And well, it is a free decision. Yes, you have the decision whether or not you want to be crushed by the boulder. There are people out there who probably would want to be crushed by the boulder. There's,
sure.
I mean, like they have the free decision whether or not to choose.
So, but my question is,
obviously, with our genetics. We are pre-programmed as humans to want to survive, right? So we are pre-programmed to want to step out of the way of the boulder. But in spite of that, we can choose to stay in the path of the boulder. Or if, let's say, we're really depressed and we want to stay in the boulder, we have the choice to step away from the boulder. You know?
Okay, so why might you want to be crushed by the boulder? Let's just think of reasons why you might want to be crushed by the boulder.
Because someone is, like, I don't know, incredibly depressed. Or they want to... I want to say words that are not allowed on Twitch.
Their desire to die,
GTA,
right?
Yeah,
their desire.
Playing League of Legends, and they lost the last 3 matches.
Yeah.
their desire to die because of that is stronger than their pre-programmed desire to live. My point here is that we're essentially beholden to our desires. I may make the choice to move out of the way of the boulder, but that's because my desire to live is stronger than my desire to die. If I had a stronger desire to die, I probably would not move out of the way of the boulder. In either of these decisions, I'm beholden to my desires, which I can't really control. And then also, even if we did have some control,
you can't control our desires, is what you're saying.
Not really. And even if you can, to some extent, you have to desire to control it, right?
Why?
And that desire to control
it. Why do you say that we cannot control our desires?
Because our brain is fundamentally wired in some ways to prefer, pleasure to pain. I'm always going to prefer gooning to hentai over having all of my toenails and fingernails ripped off.
Finally, a good take.
Well, somebody stabs me 50 times. That's always going to be a more preferable experience because of the way our brain is fundamentally wired.
There's people out there who have been able to condition themselves to be.
Sure, but they do that because they're beholden to their desires to condition themselves to do that.
But they have the conscious decision to be able to do that in spite of their biological desires.
That conscious decision was still beholden to their desires is the point I'm making. They're still beholden to their desire to do that for whatever reason.
So you're saying that
the only reason you ever do anything
that you make cannot shape your desires at all.
Any what, sorry?
Any conscious decision that you make does not change your desires at all.
Conscious decisions can change desires, but the conscious decision to change your desires was made off of other desires. And there are probably some fundamental desires that we can't really control here. My point is that you can't control your desires.
That's just a loop that doesn't end.
Well, it's not a loop; it's a regress. A regress which leaves no room for free will. Is my point.
Sounds a bit like jerking off.
True.
Okay.
I always think that I can stop that shit, but turns out. Okay, right. So we've gone past the half-hour mark. Saku, I would like you to jump in right now and fuck shit up, okay? Holy shit, Twitch is giving... Oh shit, I thought... Lanius, thank you, brother, thank you. One of the 32 currently active. All right, so we've got a trivia question. Base, okay. And then we're going to go over to Saku. Thank you, Lanius. Of the 32... currently active National Hockey League teams, 6 of these teams are considered to be the original 6, the oldest teams in the NHL. Name as many of the original 6 teams as you can. It is fine if you can only name the cities, US and Canada, and not the actual team names. In the event of a tie for correct amount of cities, boss can either award points evenly or ask the tiebreaker question. Okay, so go ahead. Nonfon, you are going to be responding. So go ahead, Nonfon, give it your best.
The Hurricanes. Carolina Hurricanes.
Base, that's one. That's all I know. Try. No, shut the fuck up. Try. You fucking idiot. Literally guess. The Hawks.
The Hawks, the Seagulls, the Tigers. The thunderstorms.
At this point.
The thunderstorms.
The tornadoes.
Okay. I shouldn't have said that. Go ahead, North.
I do not know anything about hockey whatsoever. I used to play it.
Literally just guess. Just guess. Oh shit, I have DMs. Okay.
The Bears. There's got to be a team called the Bears, right? Chicago.
I will
Illinois,
shoot myself if there's a team called the Bears.
In the video, in GTA. Okay.
All right. GTA.
Okay, so Nonfon. Wait, does Nonfon? Wait, what the hell?
I said Hurricanes. That counts.
Hurricanes?
The Canes. North Carolina Canes, baby.
Wrong.
God fucking damn it.
Wrong. Idiot. Both of you. Okay, so here's the next question, because this is a tiebreaker, all right? The question, neither of you deserve this. You're both fucking useless, but who won the Stanley Cup last season?
What the
Lightning
fuck is
McQueen.
Lightning McQueen from Nonfon.
The Stanley Cup, what the fuck is that?
Nobody cares. Literally just respond if you don't know.
Alexandrio, Ocasio.
Okay, both of them are fucking useless, Lanius. I can't help this. Both of them are fucking useless. It is actually the Florida Panthers, you fucking retards, both of you. Okay, so no points to either side. They're too busy talking about pushing boulders and shit. Okay, Here we go. Right. So, Watsaku, please give us your question for the debaters.
Question for both people.
Yes.
Okay.
Without being able to prove the effectiveness or layout of a model that predicts human behavior, nor being able to prove the existence of free will within the world, how do both of you deal with the leap of faith that is required to believe in either of your asserted truths here today?
I don't think there's any leap of faith in my position. I'm not held to the burden of having a perfect model that can perfectly predict human behavior. The only burden I am held to is proving that human behavior is deterministic, and I believe we can prove that human behavior is mostly deterministic, barring any quantum weirdness, and that quantum weirdness does not give you free will, as I've already laid out. That's not a position I have the burden to.
Okay, before North responds, go ahead, judges. All add 1 point on for North, for Nonfon. Sorry.
Yes, please give me.
No,
give
for,
me,
for Nonfon, all of you are going to add 1 point each for Nonfon, considering that he got something correct. I don't know exactly what, but Lannis is convinced that he said Chicago.
I said Chicago. I said Chicago.
I think North did say Chicago. I don't think I ever said Chicago.
So it's North. Okay. Lanius fucked my shit up.
New York because I don't know.
No, North one, he says.
Teams.
Oh, shit. Okay, so I'm the one who fucked up. Nuke the North. North gets point. Okay, North. All right, North. Sorry, guys. Deduct from non-fon. Deduct from non-fon. It's going over to North. Okay, continue.
Jesus, go work for ABC.
North.
What the hell?
Shut the fuck up. Go on. Go ahead, North.
All right. Yeah, I don't think there's a leap of faith with my argument because without free will existing in the world, like as a philosophical concept, any action that we have doesn't really have any meaning. You know, there's no, why should a criminal go to jail if that's like a cause set in motion, set like billions of years ago, that he couldn't have stopped? You know, it's philosophically and morally, our society needs to have free will in order to operate.
Okay, Saku, you got your responses. Judges, if you even have any fucking clue, as do I, what they just said, go ahead. You add and deduct points accordingly. Right, so take it away from where you were or continue on a different line of or trail of thought, as you wish. Unless you want me to ask a question, which I don't really recommend you do, because I am totally fucking lost unless we're talking about gooning. So go ahead. Nonfon, I think. Who ended? North ended the last one. Go ahead, Nonfon.
I don't remember exactly where we were. We were...
Base, you see Lanius. The trivia works.
Here's a here's a question for North. Do we think if a criminal has a brain tumor and it's in exactly the right place to explain their, let's say, like violent urges that cause them to murder somebody, do you think we should, what do you think should happen to them?
What do I think should happen to them?
Yeah.
There could be mitigating circumstances, obviously, but I don't think that takes away from the idea of free will in general.
Well, I'm saying, don't we think that if they have a brain tumor, like in their prefrontal cortex or in their amygdala, either like in their amygdala, like making them way more violent, or in their prefrontal cortex, which negates their ability to counteract decisions coming from other parts of the brain, do we feel like that has any implications on them maybe not acting freely?
Okay, so if a person with a brain tumor, right, they have a brain tumor in their prefrontal cortex and that causes them to act violently, and they don't act violently, do we just like give them a cookie because they didn't? Well,
we don't send them to jail. Yeah, we give them more rights than people who did act violently.
Just because something makes something, just because you have a medical phenomenon that makes something more likely, doesn't mean that it wouldn't have happened at all. If that makes any sense.
What if we can remove the tumor and be certain that they will not act this way again?
So, if you had let's say you had some poor kid from the inner city, right? Grew up, mom when he was a fetus, his mom was smoking crack already.
Base crack.
Yeah, mom was smoking crack. Crime-ridden family. Got punched as a kid and all that, and like abused as a kid. I know my arguments are amazing. They're completely on point. Do you think
punched in the face and did crack? His mom was
punched in the face with while his mother was smoking crack.
Let's fucking go.
Say someone grows up with a very rough upbringing. Okay,
sure.
Do you think that like because of that cause set in motion that completely mitigates any like future actions that they do, like let's say they shot up the school or something like that?
I don't know what you mean by
any actions.
I don't know what you mean by mitigate.
Cause set in motion. Like it's a cause set in motion. They didn't have any. If there's no free will, then that would have happened no matter what. So then why should we punish them?
You'd have to. What do you mean by mitigate?
By mitigate, I mean.
It's obviously a mitigating factor. I'm pretty sure even courts consider the upbringing as one.
Their actions. How about that? We let their actions be.
Yeah, I mean, I don't really. If there's no free will, then we shouldn't be punishing people at all, really, except to the extent that it prevents either them from behaving that way in the future or prevents other people.
Because everything's free will. If there's no free will, then it wouldn't prevent anything.
Well, sure, it can. Like external factors affect how you behave, right? So punishing you for doing something bad is going to affect how you behave.
But any decision that you make is a decision. Like we are simply a rock moving down the hill. I keep going back to. I love this metaphor: the rock moving down the hill. We are a cause set in motion happening already. So any actions that we attempt to do to try to mitigate things doesn't matter because it's going to happen inevitably.
Well, obviously it matters. Like changing the environment matters. If I put a wall in front of the rock, then the boulder can't go through the wall.
The environment, it just is, according to you. You're not changing the environment. It just is.
You absolutely are changing the environment. Taking someone who previously lived a normal life and throwing them in prison.
Free will doesn't exist, meaning that our decisions aren't real. It's just a cause set in motion. So there's no decision has any leniency because it's just going to happen inevitably.
I'm saying it's deterministic based on your environmental and genetic factors, barring any quantum weirdness. So obviously, changing the environment will affect how you behave. Obviously, that is true.
So you're saying you can change the environment without free will? Is that what you're saying?
But yeah, obviously, changes in the environment happen all the time without free will. I don't think people have free will now. Yet, obviously, people's environments change, whether because of actions that they take or actions that other people take. Absolutely.
But taking an action is an expression of free will, is it not?
I don't believe it's inherently suggesting that it's free. No, I think you already agreed that animals don't have free will and animals take actions all the time. It's an expression of your wants and desires, which I don't believe you can control.
But I do believe you can control that. So I guess I don't think there's really a sort of impasse.
Well, yeah, I mean, the general point I was making here is like most people agree that I'm just making a general point here. It's that a lot of people intuitively find that if someone has a brain tumor, that they are not acting freely. Obviously, this brain tumor is influencing their behavior. This is why a lot of times when we see people with brain tumors in a criminal justice system, we grant them some type of leniency. We usually treat them and try to let them free. Yeah, sure. My point is that this is just a case where we can very clearly see the cause of human evil. We can very clearly see this tumor is here.
Would every single criminal have mitigating circumstances because of the cause set in motion that is completely outside of their control?
Well, this is basically my point. My point is that if we fully understood the brain of any criminal, it would be as exculpatory as a brain tumor. If we fully understood how the childhood made their prefrontal cortex underdeveloped, if we fully understood all of these things, all of their genetics and environment, we would realize that there was no way that they could have acted otherwise. That is my belief, yes.
You see, I fundamentally disagree because we've had so many circumstances, especially with twin studies and all that, of people being in dramatically different circumstances, despite like similar upbringings and similar genetics and all that, and ending up in completely wildly different areas. I don't believe, as you would say, that that's due to some, like, it's inevitable that that was going to happen. I think it was due to an action of free will, an action of decisions made consciously, I guess.
Well, I'm going to obviously fundamentally reject that the decisions that they made are free decisions. Obviously, decisions can change who you are. There's not free decisions. I don't believe that you're in control. And again, I've already like, some things are chaotic, but chaotic systems are still deterministic. We can have chaotic systems where we can have very similar initial states, but the results are completely unpredictable. However, they are still entirely deterministic.
Let's I got a question for you. Do you believe that consciousness exists if
obviously, yeah,
free will doesn't exist? So why do you believe that? What would you define as consciousness?
I vaguely self-awareness. It's obviously a hard thing to define. I would say awareness of yourself, and there's probably going to be some aspect of like ability to perceive stimuli as well. Yeah, perceive and understand.
And you believe
stimuli.
that can exist within a hard determinist like worldview?
Well, consciousness is like the one thing that can't be an illusion because I have my own self-awareness. So even if I was a brain in a jar, I would still be conscious. It's just that everything around me would be quote unquote not real. But yeah, but I would still be conscious.
So you believe that consciousness can exist in a hard determinist stance, but how does that fit in logically exactly? Like, obviously you can prove to yourself that you exist consciously, but I can't prove that you exist consciously. So in a logical sense, how does consciousness fit into a hard determinist stance according to you? They don't believe consciousness can exist in a hard determinist stance.
Well, there's nothing about hard determinism, which again, I've already conceded I'm not a hard determinist. I just don't believe in free will.
Are two things that come hand in hand together.
Well, but obviously, do you think animals are conscious? At least some of them?
Do I think animals are conscious? Not really, no.
No, even a chimpanzee?
A chimpanzee? I don't think they're conscious like we're conscious.
Well, I don't think they're conscious like we're conscious, but I mean, I would say clearly they have very similar brain structures. They can react to stimuli like we can. They can recognize themselves in a mirror. Those are all evidence of like self-awareness and consciousness. Even fish can recognize themselves in mirrors. Like,
so you're saying that consciousness has been proved in your opinion with science?
Well, I agree. The only consciousness I can actually prove is mine. I can't actually prove that you're conscious. I can infer it based on how you act and see it's similar to the way I am, and your brain is similar to the way mine is. Mm-hmm. So we can kind of infer that you're probably also conscious. But I agree, I cannot prove that you are conscious. I cannot prove that animals are conscious, but we can definitely infer these things from my brain knowing that I'm conscious.
Here's a question.
Sorry, we can't prove it. Yeah.
Here's a question for me. Like, when it comes to science and what science can and can't prove, we all understand the way that science works is like presenting hypotheses and then like stacking evidence upon evidence in order to determine how much does this qualify in order to become a fact. And at some point it gets peer reviewed, yada, yada, yada. Now, wouldn't this follow the same trail of thought, where you would observe certain things, you would have evidence in order to occur them? And as far as science is concerned, it doesn't necessarily speak on the matter of whether consciousness exists or doesn't exist, because, well, it has to appeal to some type of like metaphysical aspect, but or like, because we haven't discovered the entirety of the brain. But when it comes to, well, if consciousness exists within one, it must exist within all, no? Considering that they're pretty much equal.
It's kind of impossible to prove that somebody else is conscious. It like 100% prove, but I would say we can pretty.
But science, because that's why my question is, because when it comes to everything, science can't prove anything 100%. Like, we understand that to be the case. Yeah. So I'm just saying, would this be separate from any other fact? If science could determine whether you, Nonfon, were conscious, wouldn't it then also assume that everybody else is conscious and have evidence, subsequent evidence, considering it can prove one? Wouldn't it have enough evidence to prove that all would be conscious?
I mean, I agree. If we can prove that, like,
repeatable results.
Which, I mean, it seems like, I would agree. Obviously, science, I would say, The word prove is weird, but in this context, yeah, I would say proves that a lot of things are conscious.
Yeah, and we rule our lives based off of science to the most degree, so wouldn't that, like, again, when we're saying prove or whether something is factual or not, we are basing everything off science, so science would have said that, right? But
sure.
That's just to respond to that thing. Yeah, all right, just curious for myself. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, you were. So we were on the point about, if animals are conscious, do they have free will?
Well, yeah, that's if animals are conscious. I
and by the way,
animals are conscious. At least not in the way they're not introspective. They don't have like the introspective consciousness that we do.
But here's what I'm gonna do. Okay. Earlier you said, or would you say here? Would you say like animals are behaving in a deterministic way then, or something? That they don't have free will.
No.
Okay, why not?
Well, I guess that's proving. Well, we can't exactly prove that with consciousness. It's more of a matter of personal opinion. Like we can observe animal human behavior, and certain animal human behavior is unique for the individual animal. And I think animals can have shown that they can make their own decisions given certain circumstances, which I would say is an exercise of free will. But obviously, we can't communicate with an animal, so we can't exactly, know if they have actual consciousness or not. It's like obviously we can have this debate with each other because we're both humans, we're both able to communicate, but we can't really do that with like if you were just like observing like me like making my lunch. And trying to figure out if I had free will or not, I don't think it would be as substantial as like a.
So some animals have free will, some of the time.
I believe that animals have a semblance of free will, if that makes any sense.
A semblance of free will. Okay, judges, he changed the position. Okay, he amended his position. Okay, very respectable thing to do. But okay, just write that down.
Yeah, I'm doing the politician thing.
He did concede.
I'm like the media vere, or what's it called? I looked this up before. The Latin.
It's actually more of a
via media.
Yeah. That's man, he's so smart.
Yeah, I know. I speak Latin because I'm a prick.
Wow. Okay, the point I'm going to make here. We don't have a model that can perfectly predict even how the simplest of animals, like a fly, behaves, correct? So there's some chaotic things there, which is an argument you used earlier to apply to humans. And two, all the same quantum weirdness applies to animals' brains just as much as it does humans' brains. They're both made out of physical material with quantum weirdness. So those two arguments, the quantum weirdness and the no model to perfectly predict their behavior, wouldn't those both equally apply to animals as they do to humans, as you used earlier in the debate?
Well, you are trying to relate, going back to your previous point with quantum weirdness being related to human with hard determinism. Basically saying that quantum probability dictates will dictate human behavior because it's like even if quantum probability is in fact random, it will still dictate human behavior due to previous circumstances. And I will continually disagree with that.
My point here is simply that earlier, when talking about quantum weirdness, you said that the fact that there is some indeterministic things from quantum mechanics that gives us a inherent freedom because these are inherently probabilistic. My point now is, would that not also give every animal, even worms and flies and squirrels, some inherent freedom because they are also inherently probabilistic in the same sense?
Okay. Yes.
So just for the chat and everybody, is that simply speaking to the matter Nonfon that because this thing is occurring and they're included within the system, that rule would also apply to them? Is that what's
their
being
brains
said?
like animal brains are also made out of neurons and atoms. So like the same quantum.
So there's no reason for us to assume that anything different was going on there.
Yeah, the same quantum mechanics apply to an animal's brain, just as the same type of quantum mechanics apply to semiconductors and everything else, because everything's made of atoms at the end of the day.
Okay, awesome. Yeah, North, go ahead.
Let's see here now. Going back to my lovely document. Let's see here now.
Trey, your question is coming up in about 5 minutes from now. But
let's see here now.
we can go straight to it if you want, North.
Yeah, let's go straight.
If you haven't, okay. Trey, give us your question. And chat, you know what to do. Bits or channel points to interact with the debaters. Also,
chat on my stream, you can use your bits so you can make Peter Griffin fart on my face.
Shut
anyway.
the fuck up. Nobody's doing that. Yeah.
Wait,
so,
can you fart on my face though? I'll give you my
I don't know where he'll fart. It's just a fart overlay. We'll see where he farts.
You stingy bastards. Give me money. Okay, yeah. Okay, go ahead. Trey.
Money. You should follow.
All right, is it fine if my question's a little bit biased?
Go entirely.
What? Wait, no, that's supposed to be for at least somebody. Like, it needs to be, like, Nonfon has to be able to answer it. But yeah, go ahead. Yeah.
Okay, so I guess I have a question. Like, I get that obviously at the most fundamental level, universe is simple quantum particles smushing together, doing their thing, schmooving and grooving. But, what about the phenomenon of emergence, where all the time at every level of observable reality, scientifically, simple things become more complex over time. You only have 3 fundamental particles, make a gazillion atoms, make a gazillion molecules that form more and more complex systems, fusing in stars, all that. Life, animals adopt more and more complex behavior. Even if at the fundamental level things are simple, that doesn't preclude things when all that comes together from being complex.
Sure. So emergent complexity is obviously a documented thing. Obviously neurons themselves aren't conscious, but when a bunch of neurons come together, they can't make a conscious experience. Okay. The emergent properties though can't change the fundamental properties of each individual part. So if I have a brick made of a wall made of small bricks, that doesn't mean the entire wall is small. Just like a brain made of neurons, unconscious neurons, doesn't mean the entire brain is unconscious. However, if I have a brick made of red bricks, or a wall made of red bricks, and that, the big wall can't be not red. The downward causality there can't change the fundamental components of the brain. Neurons are still deterministic. Quantum mechanics is still probabilistic. Yeah, ants, when they come together, can form a functioning society. Obviously, they're way more emergently complex together than they are alone. But the ants
have created a functioning society.
Well, I'm just saying, if we have one ant, they can't do very much, and if we have a ton of ants, they can create a much more orderly society. I don't know what the proper word would be there, but the ants don't suddenly gain the ability to speak French, just like red bricks don't become green. And neurons don't become indeterministic.
They are able to speak.
French. That would honestly be my nightmare. We hate the French here.
Wait, what was that, Trey? Did you just say ants can speak? Yeah, they can.
They do pheromones. They can communicate, sure.
Yeah.
They're pretty fucking intelligent. Like, have you guys seen like the type of like cities that they fucking build? It's wild, bro.
Have you seen the movie Ants? In that movie,
okay, I'm going to derail the conversation. All right, I retract that. Jesus, that's pretty wild. Ants are pretty dope, though. Okay, right. So we have a question. Oh shit! Go ahead.
My final point is just obviously emergent complexity, it can have some effects, but it doesn't make floating turtles. It doesn't make a causeless cause. Yeah.
So there is a little bit of wiggle room, but not like.
Well, wiggle room for what? There's wiggle room for some properties that can emerge, but there's not wiggle rooms for the fundamental ways that either atoms or neurons behave. You don't have wiggle room there. It's just that the emergent stuff can add new properties.
Like you're saying that you can't create a system that's so complex it can develop its own freedom of like will. Like,
well, it can never. I'm saying a deterministic system is never going to emerge indeterministic. It's not going to have an indeterministic downward causal effect on whatever's making it. That can't happen.
You're saying that there can be no top-down undeterministic thing happening?
I'm saying an emergent system, an emergent property can't have downward causality causing the fundamental components of it to be indeterministic. That's what I'm saying.
I think I need like a Google Paint document open and then we can like map this out.
All right, until you do that. Right.
Don't worry about
Okay, so trivia question. And this one's going over to fucking North, considering that Nonfon answered previously fast. Okay. North. What is the genre of music Max Rebo is famous for playing in Jabba's palace? Come on, space nerds. Fuck, I shouldn't have said that. You fucking nerds. There you go.
Space jazz.
What?
Space jazz. That's the genre I'm doing. Walking in.
Okay, and wrong, loser. Fucking better luck next time. Absolute.
That's highly unfortunate.
Go ahead, Nonfon.
What's the repeat it? Which genre of music?
What? Okay, you know Jabba's palace where it's like da 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 da.
Oh, Space Cantina. Space Cantina, right? Something like that.
Genre of music Max Rebo is famous for playing in Jabba's palace.
Space Cantina, I think is what it's called.
Wrong. Kill me. Fucking loser. Again, you guys are just bad at this. You guys are just really awful at this. Okay, next question. Does Nonfon or either debaters believe we are living in a simulation? Go ahead, Nonfon.
I don't have a strong position on it. I would lean towards no, but I don't have a super ground. That's just an intuition. I don't have like a super grounded out reason for not believing it. But either way, we don't have free will.
I like how he slipped that one in there.
Do we live in a simulation? If we are in a simulation, we would never be able to know. If we're not in a simulation, it doesn't matter. So.
Well, how the fuck can we potentially live in a simulation, yet you're so convinced that free will exists?
Wait, sorry, say that again?
If you're so convinced that free will exists, that you're here debating it, but yet you're saying that it's potentially possible that we do live in a simulation, wouldn't a
you say, wouldn't a simulation negate the idea of having free will? So let's say you created an AI technology, right? And the AI technology was able to achieve a level of thought similar to humans, and was able to express itself like outside of its original programming. You know, would you say that is a thing without free will? Like if you copied a human brain on a computer. And,
no, I was just trying to get you into a gotcha. Don't worry about it. But you're answering Nonfon. Don't worry about it. Okay, right. Good response though. He caught up to us, chat. He caught up to us.
Yeah,
okay.
I know my brain is usually like 5 ticks behind, but
yeah. Okay. Next question.
I need some coffee. That's what.
Does consciousness originate? I love to see this, guys. I love seeing this. Good job, chat. Keep coming with the subscriptions. We like this. Give me bits. I like money. Congratulations. Okay, question to North. Does consciousness, but first to North and then to Nonfon. Or wait, is it the other way? I can't remember. Does consciousness originate in the brain, or does the brain sense it?
As in like from the soul?
I don't know. That seems like an open-ended question.
Okay. I think free will is something from the brain, but who we are as a person, I think that's a good way to describe the soul, like who we are as a person. So I don't think we get our freedom of will from a soul, if you can even call it that.
Okay, fair enough. Go ahead, Nonfon.
Yeah, I think we have every reason to believe that all of our subjective experience comes from our brain. That seems to be the organ responsible for consciousness. If we remove our brain, suddenly humans aren't so good at walking and talking anymore. Yeah, we can damage very specific parts of it and see different effects on the brain. If we damage the optical parts of it, you can't fucking see anymore. If you damage the language capacity part of it, you can't fucking speak anymore. That's why strokes have different effects on different people depending on where they happen. All of which I think point to the conscious experience coming from the brain. Yep.
Okay, awesome. Right. By the way, judges, you are adding and subtracting points for their answers on this. Okay, so just letting you guys know. All right. Okay. So, question from Bert Stein. Well, it's actually from Lanny.
Bert Stein, let's go. What's up, Bert Stein?
Do you agree? This is for North. Okay, go ahead, North, with your amazing ring light. Do you agree that a divine argument for free will does not necessarily break thermodynamics, given that it could imply transfer of energy from a different location as opposed to creation or destruction of it?
When you're dealing with anything divine, you're talking about something extra worldly. So you're trying to apply.
How would you even go about understanding divine? Like there is no. It seems like subjective.
Trying to apply a worldly equation, a worldly viewpoint to something that is extra worldly. So it's like two fundamentally like impossible things to like be compatible with each other.
Do we think, could God make 2 + 2 = 5? Is that within God's power?
I mean, if God is all powerful, then yes.
Okay.
We also have a question from Kay, I think, unless I'm getting that wrong. I see my DMs. He's not very happy with me. I've done something again. Jesus Christ. Okay.
2 = 5, literally 1984.
True.
Okay, so unless Kay has a question for us, again, chat, you can ask timed questions now. We are coming to the end of the debate. Chatters, go ahead and give us your closing statements.
You mean debaters?
What did I say? Chatters? Did I call you chatters?
Oh, God.
Yeah.
Okay, so Nonfon, unless you guys have anything else you want to challenge each other on, I feel like you
I think we're
pretty
good.
much wrapped. Yeah. Okay.
I think, yeah.
Okay, awesome. Nonfon, go ahead and give us your closing statement.
Yeah, I think I proved all my points pretty well. I don't think North refuted much of my points. It seems like the only point that North refuted, you just said like, quantum mechanics would mean that we have some inherent amount of free will, and as I expressed, that does not follow at all. You are no more control of quantum randomness than you are anything deterministic. He also conceded that would mean that animals have free will. Yeah, I think I've been held to some weird standards where people claim that I have to have a model that will perfectly predict human behavior. I think that's totally a total fallacy. That I think they basically conceded as much because they didn't apply the same logic to the animals. Yeah, I didn't hear any great arguments for free will on his side. I only heard me refuting those two, I think, yeah.
Based, absolutely come dumpstered North there. Heard from Nonfon himself, absolutely destroyed him. So go ahead, North. Salvage
Holy
anything
shit,
that's
what
left.
A shit show of a debate this has been.
This is best moderated, best organized, and hosted debate. Don't you fucking dare. Look, you guys have your own fucking timers and shit. Let's go.
My prep for this debate was lackluster to say the least. I don't believe that a hard deterministic standpoint can exist in a society. It fundamentally it is incompatible with how we humans exist and how we humans need to be able to see the world. My opponent over here, which is to say that just because there is cause and effect, that nothing that we do in this universe has any sort of meaning. I would fundamentally disagree with that. I believe that there is meaning in human action because there has to be a meaning in human action. Otherwise, there's no reason for any sort of existence whatsoever.
Can I pull a Trump? I have to respond to that.
Oh boy.
Yeah, I never claimed to be a hard determinist. I never claimed to be a hard determinist. The prompt has nothing to do about hard determinism. That it's totally crazy that he keeps mentioning that, because considering I never claimed to be one, and the prompt has nothing to do with it. And second, even his closing statement, he resorted again to the implications into not having free will. If we don't have free will, then everything is meaningless. That has nothing to do. That does not refute at all whether or not we descriptively have free will. It does not matter at all. Both of those things that he mentioned in his closing statement are completely irrelevant. Okay, anyway.
Guess what? We're going to pull the Uno reverse, because unlike ABC, I'm actually based. So, North, you are going to have the final word. Because Kamala didn't. Because Kamala didn't.
Because Kamala didn't.
This is for Kamala. I love you, Queen. Let's go.
This proves that Ryan is called Kamala.
Hey, judges. Yeah. Quiet. Go ahead, North. Yeah.
Let's see here now. I mean, you can claim all your hocus pocus word nonsense, but
dunked on. Dunked on. Holy shit. Okay, based. Thank you very much, debaters. Yeah. We are now going to go over to our judges. Right. So I am going to call each judge. We're going to start off with Nonfon's judge. That is K. Then we're going to give it over to Trey. And then last but not least, Watsaku. So, Kay, whenever you're ready, come in here and give us the score.
Hey, please be lenient. I'm begging you. Please don't kill me.
28 Nonfon, 14 for North.
Oh, God.
Wait, 28 to 13?
Okay, so that's 1-0. All right, Trey.
I got the exact same score. I got 28 for Nonfon and 13 for North. Not 14, 13. So I guess one off. That's still pretty damn close.
Wow. Okay, so Nonfon is our winner.
Always going to happen.
That is our winner, but...
according to you, it would be deterministic of it.
Chat.
This did feel like a pretty predetermined outcome, not going.
What Sako is about to tell us whether Nonfon walks away with nothing. But, I mean, he is the winner. But is it a unanimous decision? All right, what Sako?
Yeah.
When you're ready,
tell us. Obviously.
Give us your score, starting with Nonfon first, and then last but not least, North. So go ahead, give us Nonfon's score.
I currently have Nonfon sitting at 22.
22. Okay, here we go. And North?
North, I have sitting at 12.
Oh, let's go. Okay. Congratulations, Nonfon. You have won by unanimous decision.
Wait.
Chat vote still voting.
Please,
oh my God. What the fuck? Yo.
North, I'm not going to lie. I voted for myself and you still destroyed me in the chat poll, I think.
Jesus Christ. Chat is mentally retarded. Chat has always been retarded. I don't know what chat is on some another level of degeneration.
I tried to rig it and I couldn't. I still couldn't pull it out. Yeah, damn.
Shit, bro. I haven't even voted, but
coming into this, go ahead. Immediately, right off the bat, it seemed like Nonfon had a level of preparation that North didn't tend to have.
Yeah, okay, this is chats.
North, I will drive to your house and eat it.
North, I don't understand what was going on in your mind in which you thought you could walk into a debate on free will, not having kind of a cohesive and worldview coming into it.
Here.
Felt like you were kind of grasping at straws here. There's like an appeal to the human experience that you can certainly make when it comes to something like this, and I was disappointed that you didn't really make it there. I don't have any experience with you, so I don't understand like what your normal style is, how you normally come into these kinds of things. But it did leave a bad impression. I was very impressed with Nonfon. He was able very well to lay out what he believes. He was able to properly dodge the question that I put out there. Well, both of you were.
I didn't dodge it. I answered that.
No, you both did, and that's okay. It's a good thing. It's literally a hurdle to be jumped over, that question. If you got yourself trapped in the framework of believing that there is an ounce of faith put into these kinds of things, that immediately brings into doubt your entire argument, and both of you were able to properly jump over that hurdle without having to even look at it. So good for both of you on that one. But well done, Nonfon. You adhered to what you believed, and you continued to espouse it the entire way through.
I won the people's court. That's all that mattered.
That was your biggest strength. The people are retarded. That is all. Thank you.
I mean, I think there's a very clear preparation difference right here. I saw that Bull Cuts opener was very well rehearsed.
What a
very coherent.
I had less.
Not as much.
I had less than a data prep.
I think both people in their closers kind of dipped into bad faith. North especially.
I literally posted on my Instagram story. I don't want to show them, but I posted have to raw dog a debate tomorrow because I was gaming good instead of reading and researching.
Yeah, him and I talk about jizz all the time together.
Pretty disappointing, actually.
So,
in my experience, I have only seen one debate that has gone this poorly, and it was Turbo. And I was actually rooting for him to kick your ass. I thought it would be a humbling experience, and you absolutely graped him on stage. So, with North, I have no clue why you came into the stage today. Actually, you are like someone that's cooked macaroni their whole fucking life and then went on to Top Chef. I don't know what the fuck. This is some raw shit. You don't know how to cook. I don't know why you did this, but you can learn.
Okay,
right?
You know what?
No, shut up.
You have to start.
I'm judging right now. You
have to start somewhere, all right?
All right.
True, very true, right. Very true, North. Very true.
I don't know why you came into
You'll
this.
get there.
I don't know why you came into this thinking.
You're making some great thumbnail faces right now, North.
Hopefully this is a humbling experience for you. Nonfon is a bastard. All right, he comes in with a lot of research and he talks fast. He does the Ben Shapiro approach. All right, I wouldn't want to battle him on this. He even had the advantage because I feel just personally it's harder to prove free will than disprove it.
What is happening to his camera?
But good job, Nonfon. I expected this from you. Despite the voice cracks, you still absolutely came out as the manly Chad here.
That should be everybody.
Well, hold on. I gotta make some thumbnail faces real quick. I just want to say, North, you are generally a good debater, okay? And I really appreciated the conversation we had after the presidential debate. That was the only conversation I had that was actually about polity. Every other dumb fuck just debates stupid ass dumb Trump shit with me. That was a really good conversation. I think you'll get to Twitch affiliate very fast. I wish you success. And, okay, that's mine.
All right, I appreciate
that's mine.
Space, much appreciated.
Look, you won, right? But in my book, you did a 6 out of 10 job. Maybe the guy did lower. Okay. You should do a 9 out of 10. Okay. The way you do that is by being meaner, right? You suffer from Econoboy syndrome. Okay, you're too nice, too nice. The way you win. I
like Econoboy. Come on.
And Econoboy could win.
I love, dude. The Econoboy Demon Mama conversation is the funniest shit ever.
Oh yeah, because he's because that's the debate was already won before it started. That was not a debate. That was a documentary, I guess. I don't know what to call it, but it was terrible. It's not a debate. There was no way Demon Mama could win. So that's why it had the vibe of I don't know, bringing some physicists to talk to flat earthers. It's oh, well, obviously. But no, actually, speaking of flat earthers, if you want to know how, I don't know, I consider myself a top tier debater, okay? But the way you win debates is by being mean and aggressive and on to the point. And there are some things you could have done which would have propelled you even to win harder, okay? For example, and it's rhetoric. On research, you may have been on research and stuff, you're at least 8 out of 10. Okay, on rhetoric,
one of it's funny. I didn't even. You can look at what I posted in general. I posted on my Instagram story last night. I have to raw dog a debate tomorrow because I was gaming and gooting instead of research and reading. I obviously read into free will a bit, but I didn't even prepare as much as I wanted to. But
yeah, I get it. So in this debate, you were 8 out of 10 on the research, but maybe the research you did was 5 out of 10. Look, So if you bring up, like, imagine I bring up in a debate against you 10 different arguments, but I only know the level 1 argument. I don't know any responses to counter responses. Then, like, it would look like I did a lot of my research if you don't respond adequately. Okay.
Sure.
Well, and that's the thing you need to point out. I can bring up like 5 arguments against you. If you only respond to one, I need to point that out. Okay, I cannot just like go on and debate with you this one argument. I brought fucking 5. Okay, I should reinforce all 5. So what you should have done in the debate is like you should have been like, oh, I hear like 3 arguments, right? You gave the brains, like, you know, act before you decide and whatever. I didn't read these studies, but I got your point. Right? You brought that. You brought the Alex O'Connor reasoning. You brought the conservation of energy, and I think that's it, right? But he only responded kind of to conservation of energy in the worst way possible. By the way, you should have after you respond, and you should make your responses quippy and mean, I think. But you should also reinforce, hey, by the way, I gave you 3 arguments. You only responded to 1, right? I mean, if any one of these succeeds, you're blown the fuck out. So you need to respond to all. Right? It's like, oh, hey, I'm not gish galloping. I just gave you 3 popular arguments. It's not like I'm, derailing you. I just started 3 arguments. I was able to fit it. It's my, well, right. It's not gish galloping. You need to also understand how to counteract people saying, oh, you're gish galloping if you bring up more than 1 point. But yeah, so that's something you 100% needed to do. Just be meaner and point out you're dodging because you're scared and retarded. That's what you. Yeah, all right. Regardless if it's someone you like, that guy, he seems very nice. He seems very smart. Okay, I have a friend. He looks like him and he talks like him and he has the same positions as him. I don't know how that happened, but yeah, he's also very cool. Right. But so that guy seemed very cool, very nice. I don't hate him. I'm just saying, regardless of who I debate, even if I were to, like, I know some people that I'm very good friends with, and when I debated them on Discord, I'm ruthless. Okay? If you want to know how to, like, debate ruthlessly, you should watch Dave Farina, although he's a Hamas supporter on Twitter, but he got banned. The guy's crazy. But on his YouTube channel, he's okay. He debated like flat earthers and, all the anti-evolution people and whatnot. And he's brutal. He begins with a presentation, which just shows the arguments. It's very layman friendly and it's very clear. And he starts by like being very concise. I don't know how to describe it, but there's like a way to do introductions, which is just brutal. Okay, it's like, let's say I'm debating some flat earthers. Okay, and free will is the flat earth equivalent of philosophy. Okay, but I should be like, look, if the earth was flat, when we all look up, we would see the stars turn the same way, counterclockwise or clockwise, but never 2 different directions. But we do see them in 2 different directions. You need to explain that, right? I'd like be very aggressive in the beginning and then move to another argument and show it in my presentation. And then another argument and all be very aggressive. And then once I'm done, well, first of all, okay, when I bring up arguments in the opening, okay, and then the opponent does their opening. Okay, well, maybe they will not respond to all my arguments in their opening because they have their opening statement. They don't need to. But at least after that, they need to at some point respond. So, after, I don't know, 20 minutes, you should bring up, hey, by the way, I brought 3 arguments. You're only on one of them, and you're not doing a good job. You need to do a good job on all 3. So you're, like, massively failing. Like, I need to be very aggressive. That's how I do debates, and I usually win. So just crush them. Also, another thing is you need to respond adequately to retarded points when they're brought up, okay? So when he's like, again, the guy seems nice and intelligent, but he said some dumb shit, okay? When the fact that brains can go from depressed to happy, right, doesn't mean that, like,
doesn't mean anything. I don't know.
Prove the fact that, like, your actions are not, like, the downstream from your brain, right? Like, it's like saying, what would you call it? If it's like, I can have a deterministic game, okay? Like, imagine, I don't know, like a self-playing Pac-Man, okay? It's like, oh, it went from eating all the points to not... Oh, I'm sorry, it went from not eating all the points to eating all the points. Oh, the game must not be deterministic. It's like, no, it just changed. Things can change and be deterministic. You don't need to be in the same state forever. It's called change. Yeah, so that was incredibly awful, in my opinion. And he didn't respond to that adequately. Sorry, he didn't. Another thing,
wow,
which is a symptom of Econoboy syndrome. Okay, it's a symptom. It's a symptom. Yeah. So Econoboy, he has like all the knowledge, but he's like very not mean, very nice, very nice, and he needs to be meaner, and not the nice mean, not like, oh my god, I'm fake angry. No, be angry, be mean, eat them for lunch. That needs to be happening all the time. You need to make fun of it. You need to be like, oh, you don't even know what a syllogism is. Oh my god, I need to explain to you basic logic. Like, no, that's of course too extreme. I'm obviously joking, but you get the point. I'm very much hyperbolic, but you get the point. Be mean. Very much valuable.
You heard my closing statement, right? I feel like my response to his closing statement, where I did bring up, I was debating whether or not I should do this, where I did bring up like, hey, he said two things in the closing statement. One, the hard determinism thing, when the prompt has nothing to do with
you made amazing points in the debate. You made also, yeah, when you get over that, actually, you reminded me. So you brought up great points in the debate, right? I'm not saying you failed. I think you did like 7 out of 10, right? This is how you get to 10 out of 10. Okay, when you get a win, you need to savor it. You need to absolutely abuse it. You need to you are the predator, they are the prey. Okay, that's my philosophy. And when you get a win, you enjoy the win. It's like, so when the guy says, "I don't believe animals are conscious," you don't just stop there, right? You get the most out of it. So like, oh, and you kind of went there. You kind of like, oh, even monkeys, and then he said no, and then it's like, you need to go further. You need to, oh, do you even believe in evolution? Where do you think where do you think our brains came from? Oh, suddenly free will came up very conveniently only when it's you. Yeah. Very convenient. Like, you need to be very mean. You need to drill down. You need to, it's like squeezing an onion. Okay. Oh, I'm retarded. Squeezing a lemon. Okay. Not an onion. I don't know if you can squeeze onions. Squeezing an onion. You need to, all the sourness. Okay. Be mean. Be evil. Yeah. That's like that, right? Yeah, so when they say batshit insane, you need to point out, oh, chat, this guy's batshit insane. I'm going to prove it. I'm going to expose him. And not to be mean, not because you hate the guy, but just because you love to win. And I love to win, okay? I'm competitive. And I'm evil. And I'm Jewish. So all three combined. No. Oh, the other judge. Don't get me started on the judge that was like, oh, you cannot prove your claims are 100 billion %. Therefore,
that was the boss,
there may be, the leap of faith. Well, it's not a leap of faith, motherfucker. Oh, let's say I was debating if my Discord name is sample text. Is it possible that I'm on shrooms and hallucinating everything? Yeah, maybe. Oh, so your argument is not 100% proved. Your case is undermined. Leap of faith. It's
also, he gave me, by the way, he gave me -1 for saying philosophical circle jerking, even though
it's 1,000,000,000% justified. 1,000,000,000%. And that's another thing. You need to make your points as aggressively as possible. When you're saying you didn't make the energy conservation point as well as you could, you should have been like, oh, look, we have 2 atoms, okay, and they move. All that determines their movement probably is like basically just like, conservation of energy and conservation of momentum, okay? These 2 things basically determine when they collide, how they move. And there are chemical interactions. There's a weak and strong nuclear force, whatever, blah, blah, blah. But all these is deterministic. In no physicist equation will you find the free will constant. Okay, they're all deterministic. Okay, all of them are deterministic. All they have is force, energy, momentum, blah blah blah. But never free will units. Okay, never. Okay, and so we look at 2 atoms and we can predict their movement. And obviously, physicists are not retards. Okay, if it was a more useful model to like put free will in, they would have done it, but it doesn't. And so we have 2 atoms. We had 3. Still works. 4 still works. 5 still works. The only reason why we cannot predict all of human society and behavior is because the systems are chaotic and we don't have all information, right? Yeah. But theoretically, if you begin with things, everything follows, or at least there is no free will that influences any of the equations that govern them. Okay, and then you build up and up and up, and we get to the macro level. And so you need to reinforce, like when you make your argument, it's like a sandwich, but every part of the sandwich you need to reinforce, and this is backed up by physics. It's not just philosophy, it's physics. Physicists are not dumb. Next layer, this is physics. They're not dumb. Next layer, physicists. It's just boom, 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 and then you have it's not even a sandwich, it's just bricks at this point because it's so hardly reinforced, okay? Yes, that's that. And and then if your debater is also, if the guy you're debating is also mean, then that's the fun. That's the most fun. Okay, but they never are. They either are just like insanely unhinged, like people who scream at you, and that's mean for the sake of mean or mean for the sake of stupid. But if they're also like mean for the sake of substance or rhetoric, then oh my god, you're in danger. I would never want to be the prey, so I need to be the predator. That's my philosophy. I've done a lot of debates. Feels like it works. Okay, that's my. I don't know if take it or leave that one. Rhetoric. That's
All
it.
right.
There are two components, two dimensions to debate. It's substance and rhetoric.
Yeah,
and you need to do better on rhetoric.